Hey everyone, in today's video what we're going to be doing is looking at NeuralCam. This is an app that is on the App Store for $2.99 I believe. It recently came up in a conversation, so I thought we'd have a deeper dive and have a look at it. So looking at the first example, this is using the iPhone 11 Pro Max as the camera. On the left is the ultra wide angle lens, which doesn't have a night mode, and NeuralCam app on the right. Now the benefit of this app is obviously the fact that it can brighten up certain scenarios. So in this instance, obviously the ultra wide does not have a night mode function, so out of the two you can probably notice that the right hand image is a lot better. It's a lot more detailed in terms of certain areas. It's not perfect by any means, obviously it's still held back by hardware limitations, but it is an improvement over what the standard ultra wide lens can actually give you. Coming on to the second image, and this is using the standard wide angle lens, and you can see this is where the iPhone's night mode actually hits back. From this you can actually see that the overall image is a lot more balanced. So NeuralCam has done a good job in terms of bringing up certain highlights, mainly in the middle of the picture. Whereas if you look at the sky and if you look at the foreground on the iPhone night mode shot, you can see that everything is a lot more balanced. And later on when we get to the individual images, where rather than showing these side by side, I show them full size essentially, you'll notice that you can actually see the stars on the iPhone image, whereas the NeuralCam image, whilst it's done a good job, is starting to basically struggle, and it's only being able to boost basically the center of the image. And coming on to the third shot, which is using the telephoto lens, once again you can see that the iPhone's night mode is actually a lot better. You can see this in the sky initially, you can see it in the brickwork on the house in the image, you can see it in the foreground, the iPhone showing a little bit more detail, and massively in the reflection in the car's paintwork. You can see the wall and everything reflected in there, whereas on the NeuralCam image basically the gate and the road is kind of boosted. The color tone is also wrong on NeuralCam. This is under floodlights and it's made it very blue, sorry, street lights, and it's made the image very blue, whereas the iPhone camera is probably more true to life in terms of what the lighting actually was like. A good job nevertheless. If you didn't have night mode, obviously this will be helpful, but the iPhone's night mode is the superior one here. Now onto the second round of images. I didn't want to have just one set, so this same thing again, same sort of outcome. Using the ultra wide lens on both, you can see that the iPhone's light input, the amount of light it can take in, because there is no night mode on this particular lens, is very limited. So the image on the left is very dark, very grainy. The image on the right from NeuralCam is slightly better. It's still not something that I would say is particularly usable, but obviously if you had a situation where you had more light, then the one on the right would no doubt do better. This obviously is mainly for scenarios where you've not got this sort of scene where you've got just a tiny little bit of light. What I wanted to do was test them in the harshest possible conditions. I did try almost pitch black, but this was probably the best balanced test that I could find. And once again onto the standard wide angle lens, and this example is probably more obvious in terms of the differences between NeuralCam and the iPhone. The NeuralCam image, similarly again, the center of the picture appears to be boosted, whereas the iPhone, it almost looks like night and day. Your sky is a lot more detailed, your foreground is more detailed, the reflection in the car is a lot sharper, more vibrant. The colors, the greens that you can see, they're a lot more vibrant. And once again, the color tone, if you look at the gate for example, the wooden gate, on the left it looks like wood, it's a woody color, brown. On the right it's almost been washed out by a blue hue going across, and that appears to be on the whole image a kind of cold tone. It was at night, but the street light isn't that cold, so it shouldn't be impacting the picture in this particular way. And coming on to the final telephoto shot, so similar thing again. As soon as the iPhone has the ability to use the night mode, the one on the left, you can see it's a much better image. Not so much of the sky in this particular image, but even the bits that you can see that the iPhone's pulled more detail. The house in the background is a lot more detailed. All of the reflection in the car paintwork is a lot more detailed. You can actually see the reflected house, whereas on the image on the right, basically you can see the window and a little bit of the window that isn't actually lit up, but you can't actually see the detail that you can see on the right. The actual image was left on a tripod when I was taking these. These were actually taken in exactly the same place, but obviously the NeuralCam's crop is slightly different. That's something that you probably would have noticed across the board, but these are in exactly the same place where they were actually taken. Right, so now just cycling through all of the images back to back, slightly more full screen. Obviously this is the original crop for all the pictures. The conclusion from this, so who should actually buy NeuralCam, the app? Anybody who doesn't have night mode, or anybody who likes to use the ultra wide on any of the iPhone 11 Pros or any of the other models that actually have it that don't come with night mode on the ultra wide. They would benefit from this. As you can see from the comparisons, once the night mode kicks in on the iPhone, it's a much better image, and it's more to the standard of what Apple is willing to accept. The ultra wide, even the NeuralCam image, is not good enough to be acceptable as something that you would get from a stock camera. That's something I believe may be being worked on for the iPhone 12s, but from every device out there, if you have a device, iPhone SE, iPhone 10 or older, anything that doesn't actually come with a built-in night mode from Apple, you will benefit from this. The NeuralCam app itself does have a few modes, so if you wanted to, you can tone the colors down, boost them a little, sharpen it, soften it. So there are a few settings in there. What I tried to do was just leave everything on automatic and leave the exposure for maximum time. And also you have to remember these were taken on a tripod as well, so handheld the results probably wouldn't be as good, but I wanted to give the app its best opportunity by placing everything on a tripod and taking all the shots side by side, exactly the same location, so you can actually make a fair comparison, if you like. If you found this video helpful, please hit the thumbs up icon below. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified about any new uploads that I make. As always, thanks for watching.